Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me again tonight. Just to give everyone a couple more minutes in case they're planning on joining us. I invite you to get comfortable. You'll see for anyone who's new to Zoom, although I highly doubt it at this point anyone's new to Zoom, in the bottom part of your screen there's a chat. Please feel free to share or say hello to one another. We're definitely welcoming. I'm seeing a lot of IHC friends and friends from New Jersey and friends from Riverdale, Temple. Good to see you. So thank you all for being with us this evening. Also, you have the ability to mute yourself. The way Zoom works is that in order to hear the audio as well as possible, you'll want to stay on mute. I do have the ability to mute you as well, but I'll just invite you to go ahead and mute yourselves so that you'll be able to hear. On the top right-hand part of your screen, you can choose if you want speaker view or if you want gallery view. Gallery view will allow you to see everyone, and speaker view just puts the focus on the person speaking. We'll get ready to start in just a moment. As we gather and prepare ourselves for what I hope will just be another opportunity to heal through music and writing and poetry, I'll invite you all just to take a deep breath. Last week we did that where we were just inhaling through our nose and just push it out through your mouth. Just allows us the opportunity to kind of cleanse ourselves of a lot of the fear and the anxiety and the negativity. It's kind of coming at us from all angles right now. And it's toxic. Inevitably, it's toxic for us, it's toxic for our bodies and for our minds, and there's really only so much we can take. And we've been living in this for weeks now. This week feels very different than last week, and I'll get to that in a moment, but let's just take a deep breath collectively. And as you exhale, just try and feel the weight of the world that has been on your shoulders kind of melting away. We ground ourselves again in our space. Notice our surroundings, where we are, where we're sitting. We're safe. We are with people who love us very much. Perhaps we're alone, but I certainly hope as you look at the faces on your screen, you realize that you're not alone and that we're safe. We are well. We no longer take the opportunity for taking a deep breath for granted. this week felt very different than last week. It feels different. It feels as though we are coming to terms with our new reality. We know when we wake up in the morning that we are probably not leaving our homes, certainly not without extra precaution. We know that the numbers in our country of those infected are staggering and growing by the day, and we know what to expect. We know that the news is going to feel overwhelming and daunting. We know that social media is going to hit us with a barrage of anxiety and fear, and it's inevitable. But I also feel that many of us and many places around us are really adapting to our new reality. I know that just in my own little world of IHC, every day a new course offering is being offered, a new way of doing sound for services is discovered. Yesterday I braved a grocery store and it amazed me what they were doing with the 6 feet apart and wiping down carts with Clorox wipes and everyone wearing gloves. And what I'm seeing, rather than choosing to see that as a terrifying new reality, I'm making a conscious choice to see it as a communal effort, as people coming together to save lives. Because it really is life or death, as we know. And that the owner of the grocery store who made the decision to have enough Clorox wipes so that every cart would get a wipe down between every customer, that person made a conscious decision to save lives. And so I do think that one of the things I wanted to focus on this evening is looking at two sides of this pandemic. As I've said before, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist. I am someone who finds healing in music, and I find healing in art and in literature and poetry. And so it's an honor just to be able to share what I am doing with you. I would like for us to think for a moment, at the risk of being called naive, at some of the positivity that we have seen this week. Even if it was nothing more than one of those stellar Indiana sunsets. And people in New York and New Jersey, I will tell you, they are stellar. So if nothing else, what are we doing and how are we communicating with the people around us? Each one of us has a social media account where we reach perhaps hundreds of followers. What are we posting? Are we choosing to wake up in the morning and post the current death toll in the city that we live in? Or are we posting how many have recovered and some good news and look at what's happening for climate change without human pollution? And again, I know that this feels a little bit forced, and sometimes we do need to sit in our anxiety and fear. But I think we have a real opportunity to bring just a little bit of light to other people. And sometimes there is an element of fake it till you make it. That if you post it and you attempt to spread that light enough, perhaps you'll start believing it. I experience this almost daily as a mother, where, as I mentioned last week, I'm trying to keep the energy positive and we don't watch the news and just keep the house going like one giant field trip. And then at the end of the day, you take off that mask and really absorb what has happened in the world in the day. So I guess I'm inviting us all to attempt to put on a mask of positivity and see if it catches on, and see if perhaps we start to feel that way as well. I'd like to start this week with a prayer for healing. While this was originally written as a Shabbat prayer by Rabbi Leah Doborn Shore, I found her words particularly comforting throughout the week. She writes, "Dear God, we ask that you be there for us as you were for our ancestors, a pillar in our midst. Help us to turn to you, O God, for guidance during these troubled times and give us strength for the weeks ahead. Help us to reach out in love and compassion to one another, to support those who are ill, unable to leave their homes, or who are struggling financially. Be with our doctors and caregivers, our nurses and scientists, as they are working to develop a cure and care for those who are ill. Be with all who are ill and their families, offering them your compassion, and we pray your healing. Be with our leaders, guide them to wise decisions in these troubled days. Be with us, O God. Help us to find the inner strength to be patient when our nerves are tested. Be our still waters when we are surrounded by fear and anxiety. Be our rock to whom we can turn and give our worry and fears. Be our shelter, guide our steps, and keep us safe. Help us to feel your presence in these times of change. Amen. Mi sheberach avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Mi sheberach imoteinu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, veRachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach out to those in pain. May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us faith, show us the way. Mi sheberach avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Mi sheberach imoteinu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, veRachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. An article found in the Boston Globe this week by columnist Yvonne Abraham. Though I won't read her entire work, it is beautiful, and I will read a section of it. She writes, "What would the world be like if the things that have become most important to us during this pandemic remained so? How would our lives look if our values and priorities were frozen right here? If we were always as kind to each other and as worried about the world as we are today? We would do just about everything differently. We would pay teachers as much as hedge funders. We would have more respect, more money for the low-wage workers who deliver our basic needs, grocery store clerks and others who work along the chain that brings food to our tables, drivers who keep bringing packages to the doors of the luckiest among us, trash haulers and maintenance workers and janitors and others who put themselves at risk to protect us. We would really see the folks who work in restaurants, most of them for lousy money, and insist that they earn wages that match their dignity. We would leave bigger tips. We would make sure every worker had proper paid sick leave and a safety net for when disaster strikes. We would demand that everybody have access to the health care they need, seeing clearly at last how other people's illnesses affect us all. We would spend less money on things that serve no purpose except to signal status, care less about impressing strangers, make more of what we have last. We would waste less, period. We would own fewer shoes. We would spend more time with our families and friends and be more keenly aware of our massive good fortune to have them, especially the older ones. We would hug longer and linger in each other's presence. We would love our neighbors, yep, even that one. We would work together to make those who are alone feel less so. We would be less overwrought about our kids' academic standing, their sports, their college applications. We would decide that safe, healthy, and happy are the only really important things for our kids and for everyone else's. We would elect leaders not for the best of times, but for the worst. We would choose based on intellect, compassion, and steadiness in a crisis. Not just someone we can believe in, but someone we can believe. We would slow the heck down. We would be more grateful for all that we have and more outraged at what others do not. We will be happier on the other side of all of this, if we remember. Rows and flows of angel hair and ice cream castles in the air and feather canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in my way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's clouds' illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds at all. Moons and Junes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing way you feel as every fairy tale comes real. I've looked at love that way, but now it's just another show. You leave 'em laughing when you go, and if you care, don't let them know. Don't give yourself away. I've looked at love from both sides now, from give and take, and still somehow it's love's illusions I recall. I really don't know love at all. I got a request for Joni Mitchell this week, and I am all too happy to oblige when it's Joni Mitchell. So please don't hesitate to send me your poetry and songs that you find comforting. We are in this together, and we are building this program together. Another beautiful find was from Kitty O'Mara, a retired school teacher from Madison, Wisconsin, who wrote this prayer that perhaps many of you have already seen. but I found it, again, particularly helpful in a week when I have chosen to look at both sides of this coin. And the people stayed home and read books and listened and rested and exercised and made art and played games and learned new ways of being and were still and listened more deeply. Some meditated, some prayed, some danced, some met their shadows. And the people began to think differently. And the people healed. And in the absence of people living in ignorant, dangerous, mindless, and heartless ways, the earth began to heal. And when the danger had passed and the people joined together again, they grieved their losses and made new choices and dreamed new images and created new ways to live and heal the earth fully as they had been healed. Oh, guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps and help me make this day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Ufros aleinu sukat shomecha. Ufros aleinu sukat shomecha. Oh, guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps and help me make this day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. A poem by the late John O'Donohue. This is the time to be slow, lie low to the wall until the bitter weather passes. Try as best you can not to let the wire brush of doubt scrape from your heart all sense of yourself and your hesitant light. If you remain generous, time will come good, and you will find your feet again on fresh pastures of promise where the air will be kind and blushed with beginning. want to thank you again for taking this journey with me this evening. I mean it when I say that we are in this together. My suggestions of shedding light where we go and being a positive ray of light when we can be are coming to you from somebody who's having just as much fear and anxiety dealing with the current situation as each and every one of us. We are in this together. And similarly, I'd love for us to be in this healing space together, so please don't hesitate to send me any recommendations for music or literature or anything else that you think would be helpful. I want to thank you again for giving me the opportunity to restore my soul a little bit tonight. And in order to allow the mood to continue, I will sing a little bit and invite you to leave whenever you feel ready. I'll look forward to seeing you next week.